Hey guys, welcome back to another impressions video. This time I'm really excited to talk about the following game right here, Puppeteer for the PlayStation 3, which was released not too long ago. And let me just say that this is a fantastic game that for sure is going to be making my top 10 list of 2013, and don't be surprised if this game ranks up really high in my list because I absolutely love this game. To begin with, this is a platformer, but a very unique one in terms of presentation and overall design. When this game was first announced, the main draw for me was the presentation and the art direction of the game. Basically, in this game, you play from the point of view of being a spectator watching a puppet show inside a theater. So you have the red curtains on the side of the screens, and before each act begins, the curtains open, and it really gives you that feel of being inside a theater and watching a play. And I just fell in love with that concept. I thought the character models and the overall art direction, everything blended really well to present the game, and that's being helped a lot by the graphics of this game. This is one of the most impressive current generation games in terms of graphics. Starting by the character models, they're all pretty well done, and they have unique 3D animations like I've never seen before. I mean, each boss in the game, each character, each NPC in the game, they have so many different 3D animations that it's really amazing. I mean, the amount of detail and the amount of work that they put into the characters in this game is truly outstanding. Also, I really like the color palette that they use for this game. Colors that really make you feel like you're watching a puppet show. And also the lighting effects in this game. I have to say that this game has perhaps the best lighting effects that I've seen this generation. And the lighting effects, they work by the spotlights that light the stage. It's just really well done. The lights and the shadows in this game are fantastic, and the overall presentation in this game gets a 10 or A+, whatever you want to call it. It's actually the main draw of the game. And the visual presentation, it's helped a lot by the audio presentation as well, because this game has a fantastic script. The game, for the most part, has a narrator that tells about the tale of Kutaro, which is this little puppet right here that you control in the game. And he basically narrates the story, and Kutaro, your character doesn't speak, but you have a companion character at the beginning of the game, and another different companion throughout the rest of the game that they talk to you and they give you hints or tips, and the dialogue and the narrative in this game is top notch. I mean, the audio quality in this game is absolutely outstanding. If you have a good pair of headsets, I highly recommend that you play this game using a headset, because the audio fidelity in this game is just out of this world. I mean, it's really good sound quality. And on top of that, the soundtrack of this game is fantastic. If you pre-order this game through Amazon, I think they gave you a code to download the soundtrack, so make sure you check your email or whatever if you order this game through Amazon, because they send you a code to download the soundtrack of this game. And if you don't have the code, or if you haven't pre-ordered this game, make sure you somehow get your hands on the soundtrack for this game, because it's fantastic. So I guess in a way I'm a little bit biased, because for me, what sold me on the game and the reason why I purchased this on day one was the presentation itself. So what if you're not really into the whole theater or stage play type of presentation? The good news is that this is a solid platformer. It's not great. It's not up there in the same tier as the Mario side-scrolling games, which is they are top quality games, or even games like Rayman Origins or Rayman Legends, which they have absolutely fantastic level design. So the game is not quite up there, but it's as a platformer by itself, it's actually a pretty fun one. Although a little bit on the easy side. I really didn't find any challenge whatsoever while playing this game. But keep in mind that I'm also I guess a veteran platformer player. It's one of my favorite genres, so keep that in mind. I'm usually pretty good at platformers, so this game was really easy. Like, I hardly ever died. The mechanics of the game itself makes it easy, because you have 3 different heads. As you can see here, your puppet, this is the original head worn by Kutaro, but throughout the game you find different heads, and you can have up to 3 heads at the same time, and your heads basically are the equivalent of lives. So if you get hit, you lose your head, but you have the chance to actually chase your head and get it before it dissipates into thin air. So in a way, you have 3 lives, and you need to get hit 3 times before you die. But like I said, if you get hit, you lose your head and you can get it back. So if you're good, you're just gonna chase your head and get it back and get your life back right then. So the game itself, it's pretty easy. The platforming is not very challenging, but the good news is that the platforming in the game, it's fun. The game is a very unique platformer. This is not your typical, you go from left to right on the screen and, jumping on top of enemies or whatever. Some parts of the game you go from left to right, but it's very limited. The way the game it's presented, I guess, is that you're actually obviously on the stage of a theater, and sometimes the action scrolls on the going up, or it could scroll going from left to right like it typically does in any platformer. So there's a lot of I guess unpredictable outcomes, which is really nice. Another cool thing about the overall gameplay of this game is the use of different items. Your main item in this game is this scissor right here called the Calibrus, which is like a magical scissor that really adds a pretty fun element to the game. And actually, for the most part, it's your tool to move and progress to the next area in the game, because you use the calibers to cut through fabric or things in the environment. And sometimes if you have to progress up, you might find yourself cutting a curtain and going all the way up to progress through to the next screen in the game. And also, obviously, you can use the calibers to defeat enemies and do other things. And another cool thing about this game is that as you progress, you learn new moves or new techniques, and you keep learning new moves and new techniques very far into the game. I'd say like even more than halfway through the game, you're still learning new things. But the cool thing is that the new techniques or the new moves are not really complicated. So sometimes there are games that you keep learning stuff, but the moves are kind of complicated. They require a combination of different buttons, and you forget how to do them and stuff like that. In this game, they're very simple. They're usually one press of a button, so they're really easy to remember, and it's fun learning new things to keep the gameplay fresh. So by the time you get near the end of the game, you have all these moves or techniques are at your disposal, and sometimes they have to be used in very clever ways, in puzzle-like areas where the game doesn't only offer platforming, but it also has puzzle elements to it. So just a fantastic game overall. I think it's really hard to tell because I don't think the game has a clock, like in-game clock, but this game can easily take you up to 12 hours, between 12 and 20 hours or something like that. It probably took me 12 to 15 hours. I do have to say that if you're an impatient person, that the game does have a lot of dialogue in between levels. So, at the beginning of a level, there'll be a dialogue, a presentation of what that particular act is about. So there's a lot of dialogue and a lot of non-action parts, where you're not actually doing anything. You're just listening and enjoying the story of the game, which is pretty simple. I'm not really gonna go into the story. You basically have to gather all these pieces from this, I guess, thing called the Moonstone, and in order to by doing that, you're gonna free this moon princess that has been kidnapped, and she lost the powers to this evil guy called the Moonbear King. So very simple story, and it remains simple throughout the entire game, but it's enjoyable. Despite its simplicity, the story is enjoyable, and really good in my opinion. Another thing that I really liked about this game is that the game is broken into 7 different acts, and each act has a different levels, and the variety in each act is really, really good. For example, in some side-scrolling platformers like Rayman Origins, you go to a world, and you go to the ice world, and most of the levels in that world are ice themed. Or the same thing happens with Mario games, But in this game, outside of the first act, which happens like inside this castle, all the levels, they look really different from one another, and it's really, the presentation is just outstanding, because each level looks so much different from the previous one in terms of art direction, the colors being used, the themes being used. It's just really, really fun. And the main villain in this game, the Moonbear King, has a set of generals that you have to face in each act. They're sort of like the boss battles, and that's another thing that I really liked about this game. The boss battles are so much fun. They're all similar in terms of how to beat the bosses, but again, the presentation on how it's done, in the dialogue while you're fighting the bosses, there's a lot of trash talking between the boss and your companion character, and it's just really funny, really enjoyable. And to top everything off, this game has like a God of War joke, if you will, that at the end of each boss battle, you have this QTE sequence in which you finish off the opponent. And speaking of I guess appearances from other games, there's a lot of referrals to other games like Infamous and Super Metroid. You're gonna find a lot of things like that hidden in the game. It's just really funny, and if you pay attention, you're gonna find a lot of references to other games. But overall, this game is the complete package. I cannot recommend this game enough. If you like platformers, this is a very unique one. Again, it's not gonna be up there with games like Mario or Rayman Origins in terms of level design and uniqueness, but it's still, this game feels fresh, and the presentation is what really, really stands out for this game. It has a outstanding, like, whimsical Disney-like type of presentation. Sometimes it feels like you're watching like a Disney movie or a Disney play, and or something like The Nightmare Before Christmas. Just because of the character models, and the animation is just outstanding, really, really beautiful and well done. Another positive thing about this game, it's only $40, which is a budget price. So again, if you want to support a good game, if you like video games, if you like platformers, I cannot recommend this game enough. Just a fantastic game with great graphics, great soundtrack, a very unique platforming type of mechanic, and just an overall fun game. And I am definitely going to be repeating this game. I think I'm going to attempt to get the platinum trophy, get all the trophies in this game, because it's just so enjoyable. So anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and please consider getting this game, because unfortunately, I don't think this game is going to be very popular in terms of sales. So I would really like to see a sequel for this game, whether it's on the PS3, on the Vita, on the PS4, I don't care. I really want to see more of Puppeteer. I really want to see more of Kutaro. But before I end this video, I want to throw, so far everything has been praised for the game, but the game does have a couple flaws, and I'm just gonna mention the biggest one that I found, and that is the use of the heads in the game. As I mentioned before, the game has you collect different heads, and each head has like a different use, but that use is very limited. For example, I thought if you get like let's say a you know, like a lion head, that you were going to be able to attack as a lion or something like that, but it's not like that. You know, heads are pretty much used to open new bonus stages and new like hidden areas where you can get more shards. With, you know, if you collect I think 100 shards, you get a new life. So the use of heads in this game is not very, it's not ambitious. In my opinion, the game had a lot of potential if they would have used that, you know, swapping heads to use different powers. You know, like I mentioned, you know, if you have a lion head, you know, you can maybe attack as a lion. If you have like something like a fire head, you can, you know, throw fire or something like that. The game unfortunately doesn't do that. The game lets you collect heads and lets you use them just to open like bonus stages and stuff like that. So not very, you know, not, the potential was there, but it wasn't used to its full power. So that's just a minor gripe that I have with this game. Definitely, if they have a sequel, hopefully they rectify that. But overall, fantastic game. Again, highly recommended for you guys. And that's it for now. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all later.